We welcome you to another edition of Snap the Pigskin. Noah Clark, Sam Gemini, Kedrick, Stumbris. We got a great show for you lined up. The Bengals losing to the Baltimore Ravens. Did they get robbed of a win? Potentially. And now their season's on the line. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they dropped their fourth straight loss to the San Francisco 49ers. Christian McCaffrey returns. Will the Tampa Bay Buccaneers make the playoffs? Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys. Dak's season's done. He is getting season-ending surgery on his hamstring. Where does Dallas go from here? Is Mike McCarthy finished? And then fourth down, of course, Sam Gemini is here to join us. We're going to talk about the Bears because they made some moves and they have been in the headlines the last couple of days. Kedrick and Sam, good to hear your voices. How's everybody doing?
I'm doing fine. I appreciate you having me on, Noah. Haven't talked football with you in a while. I think September is the last time I was on.
I thought it was earlier.
I think it was, I had September 25th. Anyway, I'm glad to come on the show. Kedrick wasn't here last time, so good to see Kedrick again. And
was that when I had COVID?
I think so.
That's
what happened. Not looking forward to talking about the Bears, but I'm glad to see everyone again. It's been a harrowing couple of weeks. I'm not going to lie.
Harrowing.
Yeah. Good word.
Wow.
Harrowing.
Good word. SAT word right there.
Extremely harrowed.
Nice.
Don't think that one's a word.
nice vocabulary from Sam. So, Kedrick, how are we doing up there?
Not too bad. I am enjoying life now that college basketball is back.
Yes.
Which is phenomenal.
Big game for Wisconsin.
Yeah, Arizona on Friday, bringing back Bo Ryan, put his name in the rafters after being enshrined in the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame. Will be a really fun, exciting Friday at the Kohl Center. Game's sold out, so should be a great crowd. I'm really excited to be in the building covering it for Athlon Sports.
That's gonna be fun. All right, let's get into it here. First down. Let's get to our drives of the week. First down. The Cincinnati Bengals played in.
Oh, sorry. I thought we were talking about the Bears. So first down, I threw a false start out there.
Wow. That was a good one.
Go ahead.
That was a good one. First down. The Bengals played the Baltimore Ravens in another classic on Thursday Night Football this past week. They lost. Bengals actually drove down the field and had a chance to tie the game or go for two. They chose the option to go for two. And a missed call, three missed calls, potential face mask, potential holding call, costed the Bengals the game, may have potentially costed them their season.
It's just cost. There's no id.
Yes.
That can't be complimenting words and then let the other side of it slide, man.
That's clutch.
Yes, that's fair. But their season
I am extremely harrowed by your lack of tense awareness.
Well, the Bengals harrowed themselves to that did sound right. All right, we're gonna drop that. Anyways, the Bengals season's hanging on
the word all over again.
Correct.
This is going great.
The Bengals season hanging by a thread right now. They are sitting in a very tough spot with a chance to potentially make the playoffs. Now they have a chance to potentially miss the playoffs. Guys, Bengals right now. Are they going to make the playoffs? Let's just start out there. Are they going to make the playoffs? They got a long climb now after the loss to Baltimore. What are our thoughts here?
Go ahead, Sam.
It's a good question. The thing that's in their favor is the AFC is, in terms of the wild cards, is not nearly as good as the NFC right now, especially when you look at the third wild card. I think the Bengals, I'm going to say yes. In fact, before the Ravens game happened, I was in the camp that they were going to make the playoffs, and I felt like that was being reinforced until the end of the Ravens game happened. And that was a really sucky. I wasn't even really locked in on that game. I was working. I work at a bar, right, or kind of not really a bar. It's a long story. There were TVs. I kind of had one eye on the game, and I wasn't even watching with sound or anything, and I felt like it was a massive gut punch the way that game ended. It's like, oh my God, the 200, what is 260 some, I think, receiving yards by Jamar
64.
Chase, and all of the just up and down the field the entire game, both teams, and then they get stopped like that on the 2-point conversion, and horrible officiating again, which is disappointing. It kind of felt like that might have been kind of the last nail in the coffin for the Bengals, but I don't think it is. They're only one game behind Denver, who is 5-5, and they're definitely not anything special at all. Indianapolis is the other team that's 4-6. So, I mean, out of all those teams, Cincinnati has a massive quarterback advantage. I think that the Bengals are going to make the playoffs. I think Burrow is going to I think Burrow is simply going to will it to happen somehow. And I think against most teams other than the Ravens, the Bengals would have won that game. It's just the Ravens offense is so good and Cincinnati's defense can't stop anybody. So that's where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I echo everything Sam said. I think if we're talking about this Bengals team with their current record sitting in the NFC, where the third wild card picture is more challenging, I'm probably definitively saying no. But like last week when we repicked our playoff field, I still think Cincinnati finds a way. If you ask me to tell you exactly what that way is, game by game, I'm not sure that I could. But the offense is just too potent for me to not think that at some point they're going to be able to score enough points to win enough games. But I think it is clear that after this year, when they lose some of that skill talent as cap casualties, there are some real problems with this Bengals roster. And I think it just goes back to the fact that they kind of fluked their way into the Super Bowl and then kind of tried to put a competitive Super Bowl winning contending roster together on the fly, signed a whole bunch of million-year-old linemen. That's all they have continued to do since. They have not tried to draft and develop an offensive line. And they just haven't been able to put together a real contending roster ever since that one Super Bowl appearance, which feels aberrational. And I kind of worry that that's also what's happening to the Texans right now, by the way, is that they kind of felt they all of a sudden had an open window for Super Bowl contention and then said, let's go get some old guys. And yeah, something might not be all right there too. So I think Cincinnati finds a way. It's a tough loss. I'm not one to, cry about the refs. You got to find a way to win the game regardless. There's a lot of other drives. So other than that last one, put some points on the board, go get a stop for once. But yeah, tough break for the Bengals.
It's tough for Cincinnati, and I like how you guys are staying positive with this. The big thing for Cincinnati is, and we're going to play Sam's favorite thing, if the playoffs started today, the Cincinnati Bengals would have the 9 seed. They'd be out of the playoffs. The Colts would have the 8, and Denver would have the 7 seed. Mm-hmm. But here's the good news for Cincinnati, and this is pretty huge for them. They do have to play some potential playoff teams down the stretch of their schedule, which that is massive. They've got Pittsburgh, or they've got the Chargers coming up on Sunday night, which that's going to be a great game. The Steelers the week after. Then they've got Dallas, Tennessee, the Browns, and then they got the Broncos and the Steelers again at the end of the year. So they could rack together some wins here and start making a little bit of a run, especially with that 3-game slate where they've got Dallas, Tennessee, and Cleveland. Those are some winnable games. So they could, if they play their cards right, win those 3 games and something crazy happens to everybody else in the rest of the AFC, they still have a shot. I do think that there is a potential chance.
If you're a Ravens fan, you probably want the Bengals to make the wild card, because
Yeah.
if the Bengals make the wild card, that probably means that they've gotten at least one, if not probably 2 wins over Pittsburgh, which opens up the Ravens' path to winning the division a lot more easily too.
Which is huge. And this Sunday also too is huge for the Ravens because they got the Steelers coming into town. So that even adds more of a boost if Baltimore beats Pittsburgh, because then it's like, okay, we beat Cincinnati and Cincinnati beat Pittsburgh. That's a big boost for us in terms of the division title. And it's even better for Cincinnati too, because if they split one of those series, if they split one of those games, they still, I think, have a chance to make the playoffs. I think they can generate enough wins, and some crazy stuff's going to go down in that AFC. They probably get in. So, and like Sam said too, Burrow probably is just going to go nuclear down the stretch of the season like he always has, and the Bengals are going to find a way to make the postseason. So
that game against Denver on December 29th could be
that's
fun.
a big one.
Potentially huge.
That's a big one. That's a big one, especially the way Denver is playing too. Almost, and I've said this a lot, almost beat the Chiefs. And still, I don't know. We've said this, you know.
I mean, hey, that's what getting a franchise first round quarterback.
Could you guys imagine? Could you guys imagine losing a game on the last play? Could you imagine? That must be the worst.
Could you imagine, Sam? Like,
I can actually. Yes, I can imagine.
I was gonna say. Second down now. Another game that happened this week, another team that's struggling to find its way, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Christian McCaffrey returned to the San Francisco 49ers lineup. Big boost for San Fran. The Buccaneers dropped another loss. That is their 4th straight loss now on the season. They go into the bye week with 4 straight losses. And for the Bucs, they started out real hot to begin the year. If the playoffs were to start today, though, the Bucs would be out of the playoffs. They would be the 12 seed. They would not make it in, and Atlanta would win the NFC South. Tampa Bay, though, their schedule is very favoring, guys. I will say that, because you look at it, they only play one team that's over 500 the rest of the year, and if for Tampa Bay, that it's setting up for them to try and make a run. But always still, will Tampa Bay make the playoffs, guys? I don't know. Kedrick, what are your thoughts on this?
I mean, they got hit by that injury bug pretty bad. Baker is not as good of a quarterback if he doesn't have the high talented skill position around him. I was skeptical on year 2 of a Baker Mayfield renaissance from the beginning. He has very, very, very quickly fallen from production wise, playing as the best or one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, to being very mediocre on the season as a whole. I don't really care that their schedule is favorable. I just don't think there is enough talent there to lead the offense. With running backs having their legs turned around on Monday Night Football.
Yikes.
Like, I think they're done. And unless I see otherwise out of the bye week, I think I'm going to push them to the side. I think we get Atlanta out of the NFC South, and I don't think we get anybody else.
Sam, what say you?
Yeah, I'm out on the Broncos too. I mean, really,
Bucs.
this is the Buccaneers, not the Broncos.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty clear that their only path to making the playoffs is going to be to win the division. They're not going to be a wild card team. They're 2 games behind the Atlanta Falcons right now. So they need to figure out how to make up 2 games in the final, over the final 7 weeks, or final 7 games. I don't know if it's 7 or 8 weeks, but the final 7 games. And they even with you're right. The schedule is really easy. They go to Los Angeles to play the Chargers. That's a tough one, but they got Carolina twice, the Giants, the Saints, and then at Dallas, and basically everybody wins in Dallas. It seems like. But the Falcons' schedule isn't that hard either. They have a couple of tough games. They have a game in Minnesota and a game in Washington. But outside of that, they have the Raiders, the Giants, the Panthers last game of the season. They go to Denver next week. I don't think there's enough. Even if Tampa Bay does make up 2 games on Atlanta, the Falcons are 2-0 against the Buccaneers, so they have the tiebreaker on the division. I don't see it happening. I think
games back in effect.
What's that?
They're 3 games back.
Yeah. They need to. They can't tie the Falcons. Exactly. They have to be better. I don't think it's happening. I think the Falcons are. I mean, they're not great, but they're good enough. And Kirk Cousins is actually playing surprisingly well, I think.
Big
so
Kirk go.
Yeah, I think the Buccaneers are toast.
Yeah.
Which is fine because I hate watching. They have the ugliest uniforms. I don't like them on my TV screen.
Are you forgetting that they
I was gonna say
the uniforms from the alarm clock uniforms?
Are you talking about the Bucks unis that they have now?
The ones that are red and like weird brown gray.
Oh
is what I'm talking
gosh. About. You clearly have not you clearly didn't see the uniforms before they got those because
just because the ones were also ugly doesn't mean that these are also not ugly.
But if you're talking they're like gray third uniform, not the red or the whites. I do understand what Sam's getting at here.
I hate all of them. I hate all of them.
The red ones just
what color are
they?
What color is that? Is that gray or brown or what is it?
That I don't know. That one I don't love.
But they all have that, just in different amounts.
Well, do you like the creamsicle ones that they wear?
Whatever, they're fine. I don't know.
Oh my god. Anyways, all right. Third down. We're talking about the Cowboys. Dak Prescott done for the season. Dallas really struggling to find wins, and it doesn't look like they're probably going to find them the rest of this year. If the season were to, if the playoffs were to start today for Dallas, they would be well out of it. They would be they'd be the 13th seed. They'd be sitting the 13th seed in the NFC. They would not even be close. But there would be 2 teams from the NFC East that would make it in, the Commanders and the Eagles, if the postseason were to start today. Dallas, man.
By the way, huge game tomorrow night.
Yeah. Big game for the division.
Side note, that's going to be fun.
Big game for the division. And for Dallas, Jerry Jones has said some things. He's people have complained about the sun. He's been arguing about the sun and his own hubris of this building the stadium where the sun is directly shining in players' faces.
How stupid that palace. You build that freaking palace, billions of dollars. They lined it up. It's like they were trying to line it up to make the sun a problem. Like it's directly facing the where the sun sets. Even if they had tilted it slightly, I can't believe the odds of that's one of the funniest things to me. That was clear. I don't know if you guys how much of the game you guys watched last week, but there was a pass. I think it was CeeDee Lamb.
It
was
went
unable
right
to find
his hands.
Yeah, he was unable to find the ball
it.
in the end zone because he clearly couldn't see because of the sun. Like they poured so many resources into that stadium, and nobody thought to look up at the sky and see which direction the sun might be coming in when they built their gigantic window-paned wall behind the end zone. That is one of the funniest things to me. Between that and the weather-delayed SoFi Stadium stuff, because it's an open-air stadium, those 2 things are hilarious to me.
What's also funny too is they have curtains to close that spot in the stadium. And
really?
And Jerry because
Are they like
have,
are they on like a big rod? Like, does somebody have to just like pull them all the way across?
I actually think they do.
If somebody grab like the little, the little plastic rod and just jog across the stadium and like pull them all the way shut.
Oh Lord. But where does Dallas go from here, guys? Like get circling back around, like what happens with the Cowboys? Like is Mike McCarthy gone after this year? Like what happens to Dallas right now? They lose their quarterback. They're 3-6. There's no end in sight for them. What happens here?
I don't think that trying to have a head coach conversation at the same time you lose your starting quarterback for half the season makes a ton of sense. If they were going to get rid of Mike McCarthy, I mean, I don't think that anything the rest of the way should necessarily inform that decision. If you were going to make that decision, I think you probably should have made it at the end of last offseason. I don't know what they do because they lack any significant cap space. They just assembled a whole core together of highest paid players at their position, Dak included. But they don't have a supporting cast around. They need to figure out a way to assemble a supporting cast. And I think that probably starts with just improving depth across the roster. I bet Dallas Cowboys fans don't want to hear this, but maybe your best bet this year is to like lose a whole bunch of games, get a high draft pick, and then trade back. And get ammunition to improve the roster across the board because you probably don't feel great at like any position outside of quarterback, Dak haters aside. Because this roster has just shown, I think, what we were worried about going into this season is that there is some exciting top end talent, but there's not a lot behind it. They don't have anybody. They don't have a running back. They don't have defensive backs. They like they lack the old experienced elite offensive line that this team had for a very long time. It's time to do. I mean, I think there's too many high paid pieces to do a full on rebuild, but like you need to start figuring out a way to retool. And I think it's following the kind of formula the Packers have had where it's all right, we're going to go and get a lot of draft picks and throw them at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah. What about I'm curious though, because we talked about this on, the student section. What happens with Micah Parsons, I think is a big question coming into this offseason. Like, because they don't really, because you pay Dak, you pay CD, but now Micah Parsons is kind of left with that spot of, he's probably not going to get a lot, even if he stays with Dallas. What there's been some thought. Yeah, they do have time. The cap is going to grow. But also too, like what there was offers out there. There's a rumor out there. I can't remember who said it, but like Jerry Jones, if you were to pay him, they should pay it backloaded. So the first couple of years, it's not really as much, but later on down the years, it gets larger. It's kind of what the Packers did with Aaron Jones, where they had it a 4-year deal, but they backloaded that contract down the road. So by years 3 and 4, he'd start getting more money. But I don't know. I don't know what happens with Micah Parsons. I also feel like, too, he could test the market, but it's also like, too.
You realize he's under contract for 2025, right?
Is he really? Because I thought I thought this was his last year. Okay.
He will be playing under his 5th-year option in 2025.
Okay.
So,
that takes care of that.
Yeah,
that's right.
The Cowboys have a lot of time to figure this out. And worst case scenario, like if you want to be a seller, you can do that at the next deadline, right? Where the deadline is a little more active now. Teams are wanting to actually shop and I can imagine plenty of fringy contending teams next season who might be interested in a pass rusher rental, right? Like I could see it.
Yeah. And
there's lots of time on the Micah Parsons front. That's far from the Cowboys' biggest worries right now. I think what you would rather have is go into this offseason, build enough, and then see through the first 4 weeks of next season that you have real reason to work out a Micah Parsons deal, that you feel good enough about your roster to find a reason to get him to stay.
And even if not, if like they still struggle, they could trade him for some more draft capital as well, which they probably would get some good draft capital back. I mean, unless if they decide, unless if they're really set on wanting to keep him. But I don't know. There's a couple ideas.
It's hard to know.
Yeah. There's a couple ideas there that the Cowboys could test. But also, too, Jerry, meanwhile, is talking about the sun. And so that's probably not in his mind right now. Does
Jerry still think that the sun revolves around the earth? He's pretty old.
He seems like a flat earther to me. I feel like Jerry Jones is a flat earther.
Yeah. Did you guys hear when he like yelled at the radio hosts in Dallas?
He threatened to fire him.
Fired.
Which is
what a clown. Oh shit. I shouldn't have said that. Jerry's gonna come and fire me. Jerry's awesome, guys.
The Cowboys are clowns in itself, but they're not as there's not as big a clowns as this team. Going into fourth down here, the Bears, your Chicago Bears, Sam, fired their OC Shane Waldron. They got Thomas Brown, who was the OC for the Panthers last year. It didn't turn out well for Carolina. What's also crazy, there's been a lot of stuff that's been going on in the Bears media this week. The Bears, besides them replacing with Thomas Brown, besides the fact that this is what Eberflus's second or third OC that he's had to go through, besides the fact that, also too, that players want Tyson Bagent to start. Like,
dude, that report, I'm telling you, that report is not true.
I don't know.
What player said that? I want to know what player said that.
It's out there.
I know anybody can post anything. I can put something out there.
Yeah, Noah loves an aggregator account.
That has literally.
I sent you literally.
There isn't a single person that has verified that. Nobody on the Bears beat or in the Bears organization has done anything.
Every article written on the internet has been true. Quote, Abraham Lincoln.
But Sam, what's going on? What the heck is going on? What happened to the Bears? We were so high in Chicago. And now all of a sudden, here we are, and it's like, oh, we got fire Eberflus. Oh, we got fire Ryan Poles. Oh, it's the McCaskies. Oh, we need to bench Caleb Williams. Oh, it's, we need to fire this guy. Oh, hey, we're going to build in this thing. What is happening, Sam, with the Chicago Bears? Because every time I talk Bears with you, it's always something new with this team.
Well, I'm not firing Ryan Poles yet, but here's what I'll say. I think that they fired Shane Waldron. Thank God. Thomas Brown, he did such a bang up job in Carolina a couple years ago. So he is now the Bears offensive coordinator. And I think that is probably going to be that one change will probably turn the Bears into a Super Bowl team. And they're going to blow out the Packers this week, I think is what's going to happen.
You really think that, or what is everything else telling you? Like what's going on? Like for real with the Bears? Get to the ranting part.
I thought the problem was last year's offensive coordinator.
Yeah, I know.
That was the problem.
I thought that was the problem too.
This in itself is the problem. It's like, let's play which offensive coordinator has been the worst for the Chicago Bears. I think it was Dan Bernstein who said that they're a magnet for stupid. Like, I don't know what it is. Honestly, the offensive coordinator thing is kind of like as bad as the quarterback thing in terms of never getting a good offensive coordinator. Like, and I think the reason that they never get a good offensive coordinator is because they never have a good head coach, which is because they never have a good general manager, which is because their owners are idiots. Like, I think that's what always, it's the same thing over and over. I don't really like
cycle.
They're about to do it again for the third time in a row. They're about to have a lame duck head coach. They have a lame duck head coach during the rookie year of a quarterback that they drafted first overall. And then they're going to fire him in this offseason and bring in somebody new. The whole thing is so they had a chance. I'm trying to keep this coherent because there's been times when I've been on your show, Noah, and I just like lose my mind. I'm trying to keep this coherent.
I think the viewers all like seeing you lose your mind.
Well, but I'm trying not to just parrot the stuff that I've heard on the radio all week.
Yeah.
But like they had a golden opportunity this offseason to reset the clock on everything, to get rid of Eberflus and just replace him with somebody better. They didn't even talk to Jim Harbaugh. I mean, I don't know for sure if Harbaugh would have agreed to come to Chicago, but they didn't even speak with him.
Okay.
God, you have to talk to him.
God.
Why?
Because, God damn it, watch college football for once in your goddamn life. Harbaugh and Poles don't like each other.
Yeah,
really?
That's a stupid reason not to talk to a head coach who's won everywhere.
Head coach wouldn't want to come to Chicago and wouldn't have talked to him in the first place.
Why can't you have a conversation? Why can't?
Because Harbaugh wouldn't have wanted to.
But they didn't ask. They didn't reach out. Harbaugh has.
How do you know they did not test the waters in Harbaugh?
Because they said so. They told us that in a press conference.
And they would have. What incentive do they have to say Jim Harbaugh told us no? They have the opposite. They have the incentive to lie about it.
No.
Yes.
Because
it's
then
very true.
Take credit.
Sounds like a lie.
They turned me down.
No, because then that's out of their hand. If they say that they tried, then they get to pass it up. That's a general manager's. That's the oldest trick in the book for a general manager. Oh, we tried. We talked to him. We wanted to get him. Whatever. We had an offer.
It's less embarrassing to be told the hottest name on the coaching market wanted nothing to do with us. It's less embarrassing to have to admit
it's not. It takes away the responsibility because that at least they did what they had to do. That's not whether Jim Harbaugh wants to coach there or not is not in Ryan Poles' control. It is in his control whether he tries. It would be like it would be like having back a couple of years ago when Russell Wilson was on the market and everybody was freaking out about that. It would be like if the Bears just said, "Yeah, we didn't try. We don't really want Russell Wilson on the team." Like that's not. General managers have been doing this for eons and eons, where they even if they can't. They make some sort of offer and they say, "Oh, we had our hat in the ring. We did our best and we couldn't get him." I don't know what the incentive is to say the best coach available that has won every single place that he's at. We didn't really have any interest and we didn't reach out to him and we don't want to talk to him because we're sticking with Matt Eberflus, who is 3-18 on the road now.
It's for the same reason that like the Commanders didn't want out there all the crap that like Ben Johnson told them no, right? Because it's embarrassing if you're an NFL franchise and a front office to have to be like, yeah, we got left at the altar.
Well, they've got plenty of embarrassment for supposedly not trying. They've gotten absolutely dumped on for that for a long, long time. That was a big story when they said that. And all the talk was, how do you not even attempt to go after the best coach on the market? So whatever their strategy was, if that was a strategy, didn't work.
I mean, that's just like picking your battles there, right? That's like crisis communications 101 of like which one looks less shitty, you know?
And it's also too, like, he had this same issue when he was the head coach in San Francisco. Why would you go back to that same situation again?
What are you talking about?
Well, because so in San Francisco, when he was the head coach at San Francisco, he had Trent Baalke as his general manager, and those two butted heads a lot in San Francisco.
Wow,
one of the
they definitely sucked in San Francisco. That was super unsuccessful.
The reason. That was the reason he left from one of the reasons he left for Michigan was he couldn't handle the GM. He couldn't.
They went to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, but still, Sam, like the point is, like,
Like I want to.
if Harbaugh,
I don't, want,
even if the
I
Bears
don't
tried
care
for
if they're
Harbaugh,
not friends.
they
I want to
couldn't have
win.
got him.
Yeah,
He wants to win. He says,
Sam, these like human relationship things, like they're so people. Like these human relationship elements like matter. And if Jim Harbaugh and Ryan Poles don't get along because of the shit that went down during COVID and when Poles was the Big Ten commissioner, like that matters.
I mean,
Warren.
Not really.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Whoever. I don't care. They all suck. They work for the Bears.
It's
yeah, exactly. They had,
they all
they had the chance, even if it wasn't Harbaugh, if it was anybody, honestly, anybody, they had the chance to make everything make sense and bring in a new head coach at the same time as they brought in a new quarterback and have everybody be on the same page and go for an offensive minded head coach as well, if possible. And they didn't try to do any of that. They decided to stick with the guy with no record of winning whatsoever.
You're stuck on this fact that they didn't try rather than
they didn't.
Rather
they
than
said that they didn't.
Yes, but they have the incentive to lie.
Yes,
I disagree. I disagree. I don't know how that helps them to say that.
It's going to be real hard when you like grow up and learn that corporations lie, man. That's
I know that they lie. They've been lying constantly. They've been lying nonstop. I hear Matt Eberflus lie every time he goes up on the podium, but I don't know how it helps them to say we stuck with an idiot and we didn't try to get anybody better. I don't know how that like makes them appear smarter. Well, like the doubling down and the I stand by my head coach who can't even put a sentence together.
Because that's the shit that every single professional sports team ever says about everything.
That's not true. That's not true. They go the other way. They love touting how much they went after a guy and we made an offer, but
Florida's athletic department just came out with a letter this week that's like we stand behind Billy Napier.
Well,
like
yeah,
everybody
of course they're gonna say that they stand behind him. They're not gonna come out and say he sucks, but he's our head coach.
Oh my God, you're so close to the point. You're so close. You're so close.
I don't understand. I don't understand. Why? Like you can still back your guy while also trying to go out and get somebody else. That doesn't mean you're not firing him.
But if you try to get somebody else and fail, you then can't come back out and be like, yeah, we were gonna fire this guy, but we couldn't get anybody better, so here he is.
I don't think it has to be that black and white. You can have a conversation without saying we would have fired our coach.
Oh my God.
Were you going to hire Jim Harbaugh and keep the current regime? Because if you're saying we did try to talk to Jim Harbaugh, the only possible implication is that you would have fired the current regime.
If the argument is we're trying to convince our fan base that Matt Eberflus is better than Jim Harbaugh, that is not making anybody in the organization look smart.
I thought the point wasn't to convince the fan base of things. I thought the point was to win football.
Yeah, that's what I heard too.
It is, yeah. And going and getting a better coach would help you win football games.
So again, just saying you didn't try to do that doesn't mean you didn't try to do that.
I guess we just disagree because I don't understand why they would actively make themselves look like idiots on purpose. But whatever the reason was,
Chicago Bears do that 18 times a year.
yeah, I agree. And so they decided to stick with they stuck with the head coach who can't do anything. And now they're going to have to fire him a year into.
He also went from one quarterback whose fatal flaw was that he loves to get sacked all the time. Something I tried telling you 2 years ago. And then you went out and got the high pressure rate quarterback from USC, who now is the most sacked quarterback in the NFL. And, here we go again.
They are it is so much bigger than that. It's an organizational.
It is, but it isn't.
It's not a question. It's not that they took the wrong quarterback. It's that they don't know what they're doing at any level. They have no idea how to do any of this. That's why they hired a offensive coordinator and then fired him 9 games in, because I don't even know how that happens. I don't know how you interview somebody and you had 9 offensive coordinator candidates, and the guy that you hired is so bad that you had to get rid of him halfway through the season. They just they have no idea what they're doing.
There is
they haven't for a while.
The deafening silence on CHGO at Radio Row during the combine or whatever that was.
Jackson Smith and Jigba. That's right.
Yeah, of like, what do you think about Shane Waldron?
He was like, there was a loud silence there.
Pete Carroll also said some stuff. Pete Carroll didn't say anything, at least what I heard. The quote that I heard from Pete Carroll wasn't explicitly about Shane Waldron, but he said some stuff that was very much in line with what the situation has been like in Chicago, which is kind of an indicator that the reason that things worked in Seattle is more because of Pete Carroll than it was of Shane Waldron, which is kind of obvious. Pete Carroll's actually a good coach.
Is the he muted himself.
He muted himself.
The death spiral of the Bears. They never hire any good coaches because their owners are idiots. They don't hire good GMs, so they don't hire good coaches. They can't hire good coordinators, and so none of the players can ever be good. That's what this is. And it's not going to get better, really, unless they luck. They need to fire this head coach. They should do it now, but they won't. They'll do it in the offseason, and then they'll hire somebody, and hopefully they get lucky that it's somebody good. And if it's not, then probably nothing will get better. Noah keeps on texting me about Ben Johnson. I don't think there's no chance. There's no chance. I know they should. That's why they won't do it. How do you not understand that? They're not going to do it.
It's the right move. I mean,
that's why they won't do it. They don't do the right thing.
If Ben Johnson didn't want to go work in Washington, why on earth would he want to go work in Chicago?
That is, but
people want to come to Chicago. People want to coach the Bears.
So then why doesn't Ben Johnson want to?
I'm not saying he doesn't want to. I'm saying the Bears won't hire him. The Bears don't hire smart, successful people. They hire people who have never been there before, who aren't threatening to them, and who are all
to them
like nice and like seem relatable, like Matt Eberflus, and then they all turn out to be idiots, blithering idiots.
We should just go back to Matt Nagy. They should hire Matt Nagy again. Let's go for round
It's literally
2.
the same exact thing. The only difference is Matt Nagy was an offensive coach. Other than that, like, it's basically been the same exact like set of circumstances that's played out.
So then besides that, who would you want? If you're not going to go for Ben Johnson, then who would you want?
Oh my God. Are you listening to what I'm saying?
No, what?
I want Ben Johnson. Do you understand?
Yes, but then you're like,
I don't going to hire him.
Yeah.
They don't hire people like they're going to hire a guy you've never heard of. And everybody's going to be like,
so
what
like
the hell is that guy?
So who? Give me.
I can't tell you if no one's ever heard of them.
It's true. That is true.
And everybody's going to be like, who the hell is that guy? And then he's going to say some dumb stuff in an introductory press conference. And he's probably going to be well, maybe he won't be another defensive guy because they tend to go back and forth in the pendulum.
They flip.
But he's it's not going to be Ben. If it is Ben Johnson, I'll be really happy. But it's not going to be Ben Johnson. They don't do stuff like that.
They just aren't smart, is what we're hearing.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
They don't like hiring people that they think have a lot of power. They don't want somebody with a strong voice. They don't want somebody influential in there to bully around George McCaskey. Because like if they get somebody, Jim Harbaugh, for example, just as a hypothetical, they get Jim Harbaugh and they know that he's going to pick up the McCaskey family like Groot does in Guardians of the Galaxy, and he's going to take them and whack them back and forth across the walls of the room until they pass out. They don't want that. They're afraid of being like strong-armed by people into doing things differently.
Okay,
so they just hire the same guy over and over and over again.
But to take the other side of the argument there, if they aren't going to play nice with a big personality, strong-willed coach, like hiring that person just inherently isn't going to work either, is the problem. Because
disagree.
if you do come around and hire a Jim Harbaugh, they're going to hate him and they're going to push him out the door in 2 years, regardless of
Jim Harbaugh is going to
success, because either that kind of hypothetical figure is going to get too pissed off and just walk away, or they're going to get too pissed off at them and force them out.
Same thing that happened in San Francisco. Exactly.
They went to a Super Bowl. It did work. They were good.
Yes, but
Until it didn't.
Yeah, but he
Fine,
said,
give
but he
me
said,
that.
but he
I'll be
said,
happy.
regardless of the success, like they were still butting heads.
I don't care if they're butting heads. They're adults. They can figure out how to work with each other. They don't have to be best friends. If you get to a Super Bowl, I'm happy.
I guess. Man. We'll see.
So the Bears are going to play the Packers this week. They're going to get destroyed. I don't know. I don't know what Thomas Brown is going to be able to do. Maybe it'll be a little bit better, but the Bears are basically Josh Jacobs is going to get like 200 yards rushing this week because the Bears run defense has been basically crippled. And this is not going to be competitive.
Do you regret having the Bears draft Rome Odunze as opposed to drafting one of like 5 elite offensive tackle prospects that were on the board at the time? Because that was my hobby horse this offseason. And so far, based off the offensive line play and how the Bears have let that atrophy, I don't know. Thus far, despite how good Rome Odunze looks, I don't know. I feel fairly vindicated in that assessment.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I mean, I guess for the goal of trying to be good this year, I regret it.
Sure.
I wanted Rome Odunze at the time. I mean, looking back, maybe they probably would have been better off this year drafting a lineman. Long term, I feel like it's really nice to have Rome Odunze in there, but I did not see the offensive line being this bad. I didn't think it was going to be great. But the injuries and then this is so much worse than this is like.
Is it worse than Matt Nagy's tenure?
Is what worse than Matt Nagy's tenure?
Like so far, line? Yeah, the offensive line.
This year it is. Yeah. I don't know.
I see what you're saying, Sam, and I also didn't expect that unit would be that bad this year. I didn't think it would be elite, but like I didn't think it would be this bad.
Exactly.
But I think it goes back to, I mean, not this offseason, but an offseason ago. I remember you and I previewing Bears Packers week 1 over on my show, and we talked about like, hey, the weakest link on that team 2 years ago was the offensive line. And then what did the Bears do to address it in the offseason? Absolutely diddly squat. So like they have just, regardless of thinking, hey, maybe this unit's going to take a step forward for this season, 2024, they've just gone too long and too many off seasons, like in the recent past, of just doing nothing, to where like I don't think we can be entirely surprised when they don't take steps forward that maybe we on the outside think they should.
I think they thought, I think that's fair. I think they thought that they were doing their best to help Caleb Williams by drafting Odunze, but I think in hindsight, it probably would have been much more helpful if they had another offensive lineman at this point.
I think they probably, and like I was 100% on board with take Caleb number 1 overall, right? So I'm not trying to do a revisionist history thing here.
Yeah.
But I think they completely fell in love with what makes Caleb Williams an elite athlete at the college level, which is his ability to scramble and make a play out of nothing. But that is so much harder at the NFL level. And if you do not have an offensive line in front of you so that you can do the things that aren't just running around trying to do it yourself, it makes it a shitload harder. And they have potentially, and we're 10 games into whatever the Caleb Williams tenure with Chicago is going to look like, but potentially so far look like they maybe have doom looped their way back into what made Justin Fields the first time. Like it.
And the scrambling to the scrambling thing is a great thing to have, but that I don't really feel good about that as just the game plan.
Well,
like,
right.
It's not let's
not
just
the
run
scrambling
around.
thing so much as the pressure to sack ratio thing.
Yeah.
Right. Because that was always Justin Fields' problem. And he got sacked more in the last 20 years than basically any quarterback in the National Football League has. But the Williams thing is that Paul Noonan, who writes for Acme Packing Company, created his own advanced metric for evaluating college quarterback talent called QBOPS. And one of his red flag things that he builds into the formula is your pressure to sack ratio. And if you're above 20% in college, he sees that as a red flag. And that's what Caleb Williams was at. He was sitting at like 22%, something like that, with a very high pressure to sack ratio. And then he comes into the league, and so far he is the most sacked quarterback in the league this year. So it's this thing where, yeah, the scrambling is great if you're scrambling to get away from pressure and evading pressure successfully. But if you are both scrambling and not scrambling to get away and avoiding the sack, then the scrambling doesn't matter.
Well, it's
You're
kind
just
of been
waiting a couple seconds longer to get sacked.
It's been pretty much an exercise of, I better scramble now. Oh crap, there's another guy and another guy and another guy. Let me try to back out of this pocket. Oh, I'm dead. Did you guys see the play? You probably didn't. Actually, I hope that you didn't, because you shouldn't have been watching this game. But there was a play last week where one of the offensive linemen ripped the ball out of Caleb's hands. It was bizarre. It was like the weirdest thing I've ever seen. I don't know what he was trying to do. If he was trying to take it and run, or if he was trying to pull Caleb out of the sack.
Wait,
but
yeah,
this was the ball.
This was the Commanders game, right?
No, I think it was the Patriots game.
I thought it was the Commanders game.
It was towards the end. The game was
maybe
practically over.
Hey, maybe they just did something stupid 2 weeks in a row, right?
I think they probably did. Yeah, this is not going to be good this week, guys. This is not going to be good for me. I'm actually working on Sunday, so I mean, it'll be on. Like, I'll be able to see it, but I'm not going to be locked in, which is probably going to be a better off, because this is not going to be fun.
I would say you could watch the Hawks, but like they're not doing as well.
I'm gonna watch Steelers Ravens. That's what I'm gonna watch.
You can watch Steelers Ravens. You could wait until Burrow and Herbert go at it. I mean,
guys, remember, I started this conversation by saying that Thomas Brown is going to fix everything, and the Bears are going to blow him out. That was how I started this conversation.
That's true.
He's not wrong.
Oh man, how quickly they fall.
Oh.
Let's see. You could watch St. Mary's, Nebraska. It's a good college basketball game on the Big Ten Network at
St. Mary's, Nebraska
at noon. Yeah, that's a good game.
What are we feeling, Sam? What are the vibes? St. Mary's, Nebraska?
I told you, I'm watching Steelers Ravens.
There you go. All right. Anyways.
I'm staying up all night to watch golf in the Middle East. That's what I'm doing right now.
Golf
will never make me as angry as the Bears make me. Oh my God.
I can contest this is true.
Losing my mind over here, you guys. I'm like, I have a disease when it comes to sports radio too. Like, I have nothing to do with my life. So I just sit here with the radio on and listen to every single horrible thing every single day. I'm pretty sure there's been a new crisis every day for like the last week and a half. Like, every time somebody talks at Hallis Hall, there's a crisis. And then we all have to break it down on the radio. Like why the most recent thing that was said is a sign of organizational failure.
Bears fans collectively need to just like take a walk.
Yes.
Good Lord.
A long one. A long walk. Go walk the Mag Mile.
I'm not saying the grievances aren't justified, but just like let's take a walk outside.
Mm-hmm. Touch some grass.
I'm gonna take a walk to, I don't know, somewhere. I'm gonna go to like Alaska.
I would say you could walk to the Quick Trip, but
live in an igloo.
Oh, all right. We're gonna move on past this because Sam, because otherwise, Sam, if you keep going,
hey, at least Matt LaFleur's record against the Bears isn't that good, right?
Oh, I want to mention, yes, the Packers have won 10 consecutive games over the Bears.
Matt LaFleur 10 against the Bears,
which ties the most games in a row either one of these two teams has won in this matchup, and is the longest active winning streak for any one team over another in the NFL right now. So the Packers have the potential to set the record for the longest winning streak in the Packers-Bears series this weekend with 11 consecutive wins.
I am thoroughly excited.
I'm so glad
Sam.
that you had that piece of information ready for today.
You're welcome. For a very long time, the Bears, the winningest franchise in the National Football League, and here we are.
I've been saying it for a while.
Later,
I've been saying it for a while, but anytime that you can like distinctly remember everything about the instances where the Bears beat the Packers in like my lifetime, that's not a good thing. Like I can like pinpoint the days and every circumstance surrounding the wins. Like each individual event.
Again.
There was that time that the Bears beat the Packers 6 years ago, and then there was another time like 10 years ago. It's like all these individuals. Oh, like that was a year where the Bears beat the Packers. That was crazy. It's pretty unbelievable when you think about it in the way the NFL is with how much parity there is, how dominant this has been. This is like Michigan, Ohio State used to be right now.
Well,
I can see it.
Okay.
Oh my God. Thanks for having me on, guys.
We
a lot
still
of fun.
We still aren't done yet, Sam. You
we're not?
you
yeah, the McDavid Award. We got to give the McDavid Award to a loser.
Yeah, we.
Oh man,
this is why we love having Sam on this show, on this great program. Bringing home the bacon. Jamar Chase wins the award.
That was an easy one.
He won it by far.
You want to put some respect on this man's name and spell it anywhere close to correct?
Did I spell it right or did I spell it wrong? I couldn't remember if
brother, you're on a computer.
No,
Google is free.
No, I'll give you I'll give you a break on this one because I did that before a long time ago as well.
See, I couldn't tell.
I've since learned, but I will give you a bit of a break. But it's JA''MARR.
All right.
I think.
Yes, that's correct.
JA''MARR. Jamar.
So this
the M should be capital. Good Lord. Have some respect.
So now we get a It's been a great show. It's been a great show having you on, Sam.
Where did it go? There it is.
All right. Bringing home the bacon. Jamar Chase.
He was pretty good.
He was pretty good. 11 receptions, 264 receiving yards, and 3 touchdowns, including the last one to potentially tie the game or go for the win. They lose. He gets as we like to call it, the McDavid. Well, we don't like to call it, but he gets kind of the McDavid treatment in this one, and he loses. So tough break for him. Pigskin primetime picks now, Kedrick. Do you have the scores for Pigskin primetime picks? Do you want to tell Sam what his score was?
Sam, you did
-70.
Horrific. When we had you on, and
I picked some goofy thing in the Packers game. I thought, didn't I?
Let's put it this way:
Packers game.
Oh,
you picked Giants Cowboys and said Cowboys by 30.
That's what. That's what I was thinking. I knew I had like a 30 burger in there somewhere.
They won by 5. On the flip side, you picked the Ravens to beat the Bills by 2, and the Ravens won by 25. Then there was Seahawks Lions in there, which you're off the final score by 9. So an average miss on the margin of victory there by 19 points. Getting crushed by both Chrissy and Tegan, our other guests this season.
My girlfriend is better than you,
leader
Sam.
in the clubhouse by
you need
5.
to step it up.
A 5.5 point score.
I deserve to be the worst, I guess, right now. Because it's fitting.
On the other hand, on the flip side, after starting 0-3 in head-to-head games where I had picked a different victor than Noah, after starting 0-3, I have nudged into the lead with a 6-5 advantage in games where we are on opposite sides of the matchup, and I have a margin of victory advantage off an average of 10.8 points. Noah off by 11.6 points. So performing, I'd say fairly admirably, all things considered. So
you get to go first today.
Yeah, I suppose I will take honors on the tee box. It's been this way for a few weeks now, dating back to after week 7. I've been holding on to this lead, so feels good.
So let's. You get to go first, and
I had a really good week. I had a really good week.
Crushed it.
I had a really good week 9. I had the Vikings by 7. The Vikings won by 8 that week. Ravens by 1 after I picked them by 7. We both had the Rams beating the Dolphins, and it did not go that way.
No, that was brutal.
Not that great.
All right, first game on the slate: Commanders at Eagles. This is gonna be a fun one, guys. There's back-to-back Thursday night football bangers here. We had the Bengals and the Ravens last week. This week, Commanders, Eagles. This is going to be a fun one. This is really going to be a test of who is the better team in the NFC East and who's the better team in this division. Kedrick, what are your thoughts on this? Who you got taking this game here?
Well, I've repicked the Eagles to win the NFC East, so I'm going to continue riding them here. I think this should be a very exciting game, potentially a high scoring affair, considering the let's say previous sins of the Washington Commanders defense. But if they're going to start looking better this season on that side of the ball, I mean, it's going to have to start this week with Marshawn Lattimore being acquired from the Saints, which that adds a different element to this game. I'm going to go ahead and pick the Eagles to win this by 3. I expect it to be competitive. I wouldn't be surprised if it went any other way, but I think overall, the Eagles, I trust them a little bit more at quarterback. I trust that defense a lot more until Washington proves me otherwise on that side of the ball. So I'll take Philly by 3.
Yeah, I give me Eagles here in this one. Give me Eagles by 4. I think Philadelphia, better team. They've had a better schedule. The Commanders really haven't played, many teams that have been very competitive up till this point, or at least the level.
But
like
they
the
beat
Eagles.
the Bears.
They did beat the Bears. They did beat the Bears. So that's a big boost. But give me Eagles by 4. I think they're gonna beat the Commanders here. It's gonna be close, but I got hurt to the Eagles getting it done. Sam, who you got? Who you got? Eagles, Commanders.
I got Eagles, pretty much the same reasons that you all have just said. I think it'll be a fun game, but I'll take Eagles by 6. I think they're better. They're also at home. So I like Hurts in the Eagles in this one.
Mm-hmm. Eagles winning over the Commanders. We all got Eagles in this one. Next one, Sunday Night Football. Man, we got another good one here. Joe Burrow versus Justin Herbert. Bengals at the Chargers. Chargers rolling right now. Bengals season kind of hanging on by a thread, but a win against the Chargers Sunday could give them a chance to start a nice little run here, which is something that Cincinnati has done in the past few seasons. So, Kedrick, who we got? Bengals, Chargers, who we picking?
Yeah, very lucky to have 2 primetime games with 2 teams two primetime games with big playoff stakes in both of them here, right? Man, the Bengals really need a win here. Obviously, the Chargers would love to get a win and propel them, keep them comfortably in a wild card spot, but the Bengals, they got to come into this with a sense of desperation at this point in time. 2 games back of the Chargers in that 6th spot, just a game back of the Broncos. I really do trust the Chargers more. There is a human element to me that wants to take the Bengals, that thinks they're gonna figure it out. If the Bengals are, I don't want to say they need this win, because I think their need to win games probably starts when what week do they play the Broncos?
That's week 16, week 17.
Oh, so that's late. Yeah, I mean, I think that's going to come down and be huge. I'll take the Bengals. I don't feel super confident in that pick. I guess I'll take the Bengals by 3. I don't totally know why, other than I think they just need to win more, and maybe that comes out in this one.
That sounded as decisive as Matt Eberflus press conferences. That was great.
I don't feel good.
I don't really know why. It's
I do not feel good
I'm in the
picking
same boat,
either of
though.
these teams. Yeah.
I really want the Bengals to win. Very hard for me to get over that fact right now. So who cares? I'm going to pick the Bengals. I'm not putting money on this.
What are you going to pick the Bengals by?
I think the Bengals, I'm going to go. This is a Chargers game, which means it's going to be close. And the Bengals aren't blowing anybody out. I'm going to go Bengals by 1. I think it's going to be a good game. I just think the Bengals have to win. And I think I like Burrow more than Justin Herbert. I like them both. And I like Jim Harbaugh, but I'm taking Burrow on this one.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I think, oh man, anytime a team is when their season's on the line, they're playing desperate. That intensity gets kicked up a little bit more. I think the Bengals are going to win this one. I think they'll win it by 2, Sam, in this game. I think they desperately need a win. And this win over the Chargers could be huge for them to start a run and kind of feel their groove, because they got the Broncos and they got the Steelers still at the end of the season. So give me Bengals by 2 in this one. I think they're going to make it close. But not as close as this last one, which is Monday Night Football. And we've said this multiple times. If you thought the first 2 games were incredible, boy, the last one is sure to, be a sleeper, a snooze fest. Battle of Texas. The Battle of Texas. The Houston Texans and the Dallas Cowboys on Monday Night Football. This is the first game without Dak Prescott. Cooper Rush, I think, is going to get the start for the Cowboys in this game. Texans came very close to beating the Lions. What do we got here, Kedrick? Texans or Cowboys? I feel like this is an easy pick, to say the least.
I mean, I don't know. The Texans haven't been great all year. And it dates back to them struggling with the Bears, right? And they didn't look good last week against Detroit. I understand that game was close and the Lions only won by 3, but the Texans should have ran away with that game. Jared Goff turned the ball over 4 times plus a 5th interception on a Hail Mary pass. The Texans couldn't do anything with their offense. Meanwhile, I understand the Lions still outgained them in that game, but it was not entirely to their own credit that they did. It was the Texans' inability to, like, the Texans picking the ball off at the 1 and then not moving the ball, having to punt from their own end zone. Then, right? That's you gotta move the ball. Still, I think Houston is a better team overall. Dallas cannot run the ball to save their life. But neither really can Houston. Houston has the 4th lowest rush EPA per play in the league right now. Dallas ranks 22nd in that metric. So, like, neither of these teams are super awesome, in my opinion. I just got a little bit more faith in Houston being able to figure it out when Dallas is missing their quarterback. But it would not surprise me to see Houston falter and miss the playoffs this year. Maybe that's a little too hot takey, but I don't think it would totally surprise me. So I'm gonna go ahead and take Houston in this one, but by 6, I think it'll be relatively close.
Yeah, I think Houston's gonna make it close.
Do I get to pick?
You get to pick after me, good sir.
Fine. Just changing up the order all of a sudden.
Well, the first pick was Kedrick Means.
All right, whatever.
Texans, Cowboys. I give me Houston. Give me Houston by 3. I think, yeah, Houston's looked unimpressive all season. They haven't really been able to blow up the teams that they should be blowing out. The other thing is, too, they haven't had Nico Collins for most of the season. Stephon Diggs out for the season. And really having to rely on Tank Dell, Xavier Hutchinson, John Mechie. These aren't really guys you could really rely on to help CJ Stroud in this offense, move the ball. And the only bright spot is Joe Mixon is having a great year, but the run game, besides Joe Mixon, has been pretty bad. So give me Texans by 3 in this one. I think Houston makes it close again. I think Dallas and Cooper Rush somehow get their offense moving, but with Mike McCarthy, his offense is staler than a bagel down on 31st. They just can't seem to move the ball. So, Sam, who you got? Texans Cowboys for this last one.
Maybe Mike McCarthy ate that stale bagel. That's why.
My.
I got the Texans.
Thanksgiving is coming up too, Sam.
This is the Cowboys at home. They haven't won a home game in like a year. They just can't wait to give you the ball when they're playing in that stadium. They get blown out, it seems like, every time. I would like to know if the sun is going to be out in this game or not. I guess it's a night game, so unfortunately, the sun not going to be a factor, which I don't know who that benefits in that stadium. But I'm going Houston by 12. This is not a competitive game, I don't think. And the Cowboys, I'm just gonna ride the cold hand, so to speak, with the Cowboys.
Ride the cold hand. Interesting stuff.
The Dallas Cowboys have not won a home game since they were knocked off in the wild card round by the Green Bay Packers and Toyota-thon merchant Jordan Love.
Toyota-thon, baby.
Yeah, Sam, you're screwed because Toyota-thon starts on Friday. So it's over. It's over.
Oh, okay. Love, baby. If it weren't for that, everything would have been fine. That's the reason that we're screwed.
Are you aware of this conspiracy theory?
Not
or like
really.
Internet meme. So Toyota-thon runs November 15th to January 3rd. It's so like when you put into mind like the run that the Packers went on toward the end of last season through the wild card game, like those dates are basically
eerily similar.
Jordan Love is only good during Toyota-thon is the theory. So
great.
It's great. It's over for the rest of the NFC.
How we feel
at least for like the next 2 months.
Yeah. Then once it gets to like, it gets to like that second week of January or a championship week.
Pack it in.
Yeah. But yeah, that was fun today, Sam. You want to give us a name drop? Tell the 5 folks where they can.
I kind of want to just get out of this video call as quickly as possible so I can go eat and watch hockey. But I'll Puckworms podcast. Anthony does that with me. Anthony's a former colleague of mine and Noah's
former colleague.
Well, whatever. You know what I mean. I used to be at WSUM with you and Anthony.
Yes.
So we talk all about the NHL there. And then
I thought you kicked Anthony off the Puckworms podcast.
No.
I thought he left.
Linksworms is the show that I host covering golf. That's a pretty slow time right now, but it's still fun. Golf's going to get going pretty soon in like a month and a half or 2 months, but still tune in. I can't imagine anybody who liked what I came on and said today, but if you did, feel free to tune in, or if you didn't, I don't really care. But yeah, that's it.
Sam, you generate I will say this: you generate the most laughs out of this show. You give us a lot of laughs on this show. A lot of laughs, a lot of exciting.
Bears are
clips.
A content factory. Unfortunately,
yes, they are. Feel free to give Kedrick's podcast, Sconnie Six Pack, a listen to.
Yeah,
does some great stuff there. Always some good stuff. Hopefully you'll be talking Badger football coming up this weekend. Badger basketball.
That's what everyone's hoping for. Badger football.
Packers, Bears as well. And I gotta also give a shout out to my girlfriend Tegan as well. She started her podcast. We shouldn't be talking about this. That's the name of her podcast.
I should listen to that. I didn't even know that.
You should give it a listen. It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
I am going to pass her in the Pigskin Picks rankings this week, though, for sure. I'll guarantee that.
Okay. Well, we'll see. But yeah, feel free to give it a listen to her podcast. She does it with her sisters. They have an episode every Saturday. They have it on Spotify and YouTube. And feel free to give them a like and a subscribe as well. And also, Snap the Pigskin. Watch on youtube.com/Snap the Pigskin or wherever you get your podcasts. We release episodes every Wednesday. And feel free to give a listen to me, Kedrick, and sometimes Sam, who's on this show, or whoever. So with that, I'm Noah Clark, joined by Kedrick Stumbris and Sam Gemini. This has been another edition of Snap the Pigskin.